General Hospital spoilers reveal that Trina is becoming increasingly obsessed with her suspicions about Josslyn's increasingly reckless and out-of-control behavior. From being a close friend she once knew well, Joss now seems completely changed, no longer the strong girl who used to keep herself in check. Instead, she is isolating herself, acting in ways that Trina can't understand. The sudden outbursts of anger, impulsive decisions, and actions that seem to disregard the consequences, everything is causing Trina to question what is really going on with Joss. Each time Trina tries to reach out, to help, or at least understand what Joss is really thinking, she is pushed further away. Joss not only ignores Trina, but also becomes defensive and angry, as if she is hiding something or doesn't want anyone to touch her inner pain. But Trina can't pretend that everything is okay because it's clear that things are spiraling out of control. The increasing sense of being pushed from both sides is deepening the distance between them. Joss feels monitored and doesn't want anyone interfering in her life, while Trina can't stand to watch her friends slip further into uncontrollable behavior. Their arguments are becoming more frequent, and instead of finding a solution, they're only pushing each other farther apart. Trina no longer recognizes Joss, and it scares her more than ever. What makes it worse is that Joss doesn't even realize this. She continues to push boundaries, taking risks, and acting recklessly, and that makes Trina question, what if Joss truly can't control the situation? If she keeps going like this, what will be the breaking point? Trina knows Joss is on a dangerous path, but is there anyone who can stop her before it's too late? The biggest problem Trina faces is having to choose between speaking up or staying silent. If she keeps pursuing the truth and tries to pull Joss out of this spiral, Joss might completely cut her off, even seeing her as a traitor. But if she stays silent and lets Joss continue down this path, will she be able to forgive herself if things go too far? If one day Joss finds herself in real danger, unable to turn back from the road she's on, can Trina live with that guilt? These questions are tormenting Trina, and she knows that there are no easy answers. She doesn't want to lose Joss, but she can't just stand by and watch her friend destroy herself. Their friendship is at a major crossroads, and once a decision is made, nothing will ever be the same again. Port Charles is about to witness a major change in their relationship, and when the storm hits, no one can predict what the consequences will be. Will Trina dare to make the right decision, or will she be trapped in the fear of losing her best friend forever? Trina is increasingly noticing that Brennan's actions are far more complicated than she initially thought. A dangerous and especially serious connection exists between what he does and what's happening around Port Charles. Things are no longer mere coincidences or a chain of meaningless events. Instead, a larger conspiracy is slowly emerging, and if she's not careful, she could find herself caught in a far more dangerous situation than she ever imagined. From Brennan showing up unexpectedly in places he shouldn't be to overhearing cryptic conversations, Trina knows that he's hiding something much bigger than what he lets on. But the biggest question is, what is he really plotting? And more importantly, who is behind him? She's tried to convince herself that she's just overreacting, that maybe things aren't as serious as she thinks, but her instincts have never been wrong. Trina can sense a storm coming, and if she doesn't act now, Port Charles could be facing a real threat. She knows she's in a perilous situation. She's not a professional investigator, but she's smart enough to spot the signs of a conspiracy taking shape. If she digs deeper, she could uncover the truth, but it could also put her in a danger she can't escape from. She starts watching Brennan more closely, analyzing every move and every word, and each time she does, her unease grows stronger. He's too careful, too secretive, and that only makes Trina more certain that he's hiding something. But what exactly is he hiding? If Brennan is truly involved in dangerous activities, it means Port Charles could be heading into a crisis no one could have foreseen. And the scariest part is, if Trina is the only one who sees this, can she stop it before it's too late? Trina knows she can't just sit back and ignore what's happening, but she also understands that one wrong move could put her in an irreversible situation. She needs help, but who can she trust? If she shares her suspicions with Curtis or Jordan, will they believe her? Or will they just think she's imagining things and overreacting? She thinks about telling them, but she knows she doesn't have enough evidence, just her instincts and observations. But Trina also understands that if she doesn't act now, the consequences could be unimaginable. Brennan is no ordinary guy. He's dangerous, has a clear plan, and, more importantly, he knows how to manipulate everything around him. If Trina isn't careful, she could become the next victim in his game. She can feel that Port Charles is about to face an unprecedented crisis, and she might be the only one who sees it before it blows up. But the real question is she ready to face whatever she might uncover? And can she stop it before it's too late? One thing is for sure, Trina is at a crucial crossroads, and her decision will change everything forever. Trina has decided to report the troubling stories unfolding with Carly, and from the moment Carly listens to Trina's words, her maternal instinct immediately kicks in. Carly is not the type to panic easily, but she cannot overlook the alarming signs that Trina has just revealed. She knew Josslyn had changed since the self-defense shooting incident involving Cyrus, but she never expected things to have escalated this much. Josslyn has not only become impulsive and distanced herself from her friends, but she is also harboring a dangerous idea, joining the WSB. Trina knows that Joss is not doing this for ideals or justice, but because she is trying to escape the ghosts of her past, searching for a new goal to forget the pain she has endured. But the problem is, this is not a decision that can be made on a whim. Once Joss takes this path, there is no turning back. Carly cannot let that happen. No matter how angry Joss gets, how much she rebels, or how much she tries to push her away, Carly will do everything she can to protect her daughter. Joss may think she is strong enough to face any challenge, but Carly knows that the WSB is not a game. It is a dangerous organization that could turn her daughter into someone completely different. And Carly is not willing to trade Joss's future for a wrong decision made while she is lost. With Trina speaking up, everything has changed. Carly may have once thought Joss was just going through a difficult phase, but now she knows that things are far more serious. Trina may have pushed Joss to the brink of anger, but she is also the only one brave enough to stop Joss before it's too late. But the question is, can Carly convince Joss? If she confronts Joss directly, will her daughter just rebel even more and rush into the WSB to assert herself? Carly needs a plan, and she knows that if she's not careful, she could lose Joss forever. Carly understands that this is not just a typical mother-daughter argument, this is a turning point that could change Joss's life. If Joss leaves Port Charles and joins the WSB, everything will never be the same. She could get caught up in dangerous missions, secrets that even Carly could not protect her from. Trina may have set off a wave of change, but now Carly must decide what to do next. Will she let Joss go down the path she has chosen, or will she fight to the end to pull her daughter out of this dangerous road? One thing is certain, Joss will not be easily persuaded. But Carly is not one to give up easily. This storm is only just beginning, and when it erupts, Port Charles will witness a real battle between a mother protecting her daughter and a young girl searching for herself in a world full of danger. Trina made an important decision when she chose to leave Port Charles and go to France, where she could seek a new beginning and take the time to reflect on everything that had happened. The recent events, from the tension with Josslyn, the suspicions about Brennan, to the troublesome issues she couldn't control, had made Trina feel like she needed space to breathe, to find herself before everything sucked her into an endless spiral. But as Trina prepared to leave, she discovered that she wasn't the only one looking for change. Josslyn was also planning to leave Port Charles, with her destination being Australia, where her father, Jax, lives. This was not just a temporary goodbye but a major turning point in both of their lives. Trina and Joss were once inseparable, the closest of friends, always facing every challenge together, but now, they were choosing completely different paths, as if life had pushed them to separate crossroads that neither of them could control. Though neither of them said it out loud, both felt that something was really changing, a distance forming not just geographically but within their relationship as well. Josslyn, once steadfast and strong, now felt like she was completely losing control of her life. The wrong decisions, confrontations with Carly and Trina, and the conflicting feelings about herself after the shooting of Cyrus Renault had made her feel like she needed a change, an escape from all the pressure weighing on her. Joining the WSB was no longer a viable option after Carly and Trina intervened. but Joss still didn't want to stay in Port Charles to face all of that. She knew that her father, Jax, would always welcome her with open arms, and maybe going to Australia would help her see things more clearly, find herself without Carly or Trina by her side. But the truth was, Joss wasn't sure about anything. She only knew that she couldn't keep feeling lost in a place she had once called home. Joss still couldn't understand why everything had become so chaotic, why she was distant from Trina, why she couldn't make Carly understand her, why she felt like she was adrift in her own life with no clear anchor. She believed that by leaving Port Charles, she could find the answers, or at least temporarily forget all the things making her feel lost. Meanwhile, Trina also had her own struggles. She loved Port Charles, but she felt like she was caught between responsibilities, mysteries, and complex relationships that she didn't know how to handle. Leaving didn't mean giving up, but it meant she needed time to better understand herself, to figure out what she truly wanted. Trina had spent so much time worrying about Joss, Curtis, and everyone around her, and now she felt it was time to put herself first. France was a place she had always wanted to explore, a place that could offer her new experiences and perspectives she could never have if she stayed in Port Charles and got caught up in endless troubles. But even though both of them were trying to convince themselves that their decisions were the right ones, a new obsession was slowly forming. Both Josslyn and Trina knew that leaving wasn't a perfect solution, but just a way to temporarily escape from problems they weren't ready to face. Trina wondered if, when she came back, things would still be the same, or if she would return and realize that Port Charles had changed, and she was no longer a part of it. Joss had similar questions. Would leaving help her find what she truly wanted, or was she just running away from things she needed to face? Their departure would not only affect them but also the people left behind. Carly would face the emptiness when her daughter was no longer there. Spencer might have to deal with losing Trina, someone he deeply cares about. Curtis might feel a void when Trina, a major influence in his life, was no longer close. And Port Charles would have to face the loss of two strong young women who had once been an important part of the town. But the biggest question still remains, is this a permanent departure, or just a temporary chapter in their lives? Will they truly find the answers they are searching for, or will they eventually realize that where they belong has always been Port Charles? One thing is for sure, no matter how far they go, Port Charles will always be a part of them. And when the right time comes, Trina and Joss may return, stronger, more mature, but also with completely new secrets and experiences. But when that day comes, will things still be the same, or will Port Charles have changed in a way they never expected? Carly and Jason decided to follow Trina's instructions, and immediately, they realized they were walking into an unavoidable battle with Brennan. Trina may have left Port Charles to find peace, but she left behind an unsolved mystery, one that only Carly and Jason could face. All the clues pointed to one thing: Brennan was not who he pretended to be. He was more dangerous than they thought, and if they didn't act quickly, the consequences could be irreversible. Carly knew that Trina had sensed something was wrong before she left. The young girl had sharp instincts and had noticed strange signs about Brennan, but at the time, she didn't have enough evidence, nor the time to uncover the full truth. However, Carly didn't need evidence to act, especially when it came to protecting the people she loved. Jason, who was always the practical and strategic one, also understood that they couldn't just stand still and wait. If Brennan was scheming, they needed to act before he had the chance to carry out his plan. But what made this situation even more dangerous was that Brennan wasn't alone. He had allies, powerful forces behind him, and Carly and Jason wouldn't be able to defeat him the usual way. This fight wasn't just against a single enemy, it was a battle against an entire underground system that Brennan had built in Port Charles. He wasn't just a shady figure, he had connections to much larger powers, people who could change the game at any time. As Carly and Jason started digging deeper into the truth, they realized that the real shock hadn't come yet. Brennan was not just manipulating Port Charles from the shadows, he had a much bigger plan, one that could change everything forever. If they didn't stop him now, Port Charles might never be the same. But what was even scarier was that Brennan also knew Carly and Jason were targeting him. He wasn't the type to sit back and watch, he would retaliate, and when he did, Port Charles would witness an unprecedented storm. Carly and Jason couldn't back down, they couldn't wait any longer. They knew that if they didn't take Brennan down first, he would be the one to attack them. But that also meant they would have to be ready to face consequences they hadn't anticipated. Would they be strong enough to take on Brennan and everything he was hiding? Or would this time, Port Charles lose the people they loved forever? One thing was certain, this battle would change everything. Brennan could no longer hide in the shadows, and Carly and Jason wouldn't stop until they brought him down. But as the truth slowly came to light, would they be able to face what they found, or would they too be swept up in the storm they had just unleashed?